there. You can go there and find it, the details of experiment 1. So what we have seen is that we have created a file. Okay, in that particular file, this is, let's say, two files are there. One file is file with hole. Okay, so this is, let's say, consider with hole, and this is with no hole. Okay, what is there in case of no hole, or what is there in the hole? What basically we have done is that we have kept some content in the file. So you know that while we are writing some content, the file pointer moves forward. Okay, so initially the file pointer is at 0 location. Okay, so this 0 is also known as 6 set. Okay, so I just want to remind you that this is 6 set. Okay, now from 6 set we are moving now forward, and our position is accordingly updated. Okay, so the file pointer is accordingly updated. So if I write one character, then file pointer moves 1 forward, 2 characters, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and similarly if I write 10 characters, then file pointer moves here. Okay, then what we have done is then we have created a hole, because what I have done is that I have made a lseek of lseek call. Okay, and through the lseek, what I have done is that we have moved 16,394 characters forward. Okay, so that means I have left some moved my file pointer from 10th character to maybe, let's say, here it is, the 16,394. Okay, so I have reached here at this location, and then I have written some other content. Okay, so let's say I have written some other content, and other content, let's say I have written ABCD. Okay, so this way it has been written. So what is the last file pointer? So it may reach, let's say, here is the end of the file. So here end of the file basically is representing 16,094 plus 10. So it becomes let's say 94 plus 10 plus 10. So that is the last, or we may say that is representing the end of the file. Okay, the position which is representing the end of the file is this one, 16,394 plus 10, because at the last I have written 10 more characters. Now since this places I have moved forward and I have not utilized this place, so definitely this place are going to be filled up with null character. Okay, however, these null characters, if you look into the size of the file will be definitely 16,394 plus 10. Okay, this is the size of the file. Total size of the file is this much. However, as I stated, this hole is not going to occupy any disk block. Okay, so let's say this is my disk, or you may say this is my hard disk. Okay, so on the hard disk, this is not going to occupy any block. Any block is not going to be occupied. Okay, so what has happened is that if I am creating a file with hole, it has occupied only 8 blocks. Okay, and this has yes, this 8 block, and this has occupied 20 blocks. Because a file with no hole, what I have done, first 10 characters that I have written, and this instead of this hole, what I have done, I have written some characters. Let's say I have written only A, B, C, whatever it is, I have written some content, and then after that again I have kept in last I have kept 10. So instead of null character, I have written some thing with write system call. So in this case, this is also going to occupy some space. So in if you look into the size of both the files may be the same. So this file also may be comprising 94 plus 10. This is the file size. If you look at the size, then it will show you this. But if you look into the number of blocks occupied, this is 20. So it means that the whole is not going to occupy any disk space. Okay. Now one may ask, what is the concept of the block? Okay. So the concept of block is something like that. I'll just describe. You may have seen in any book also. What is happening is that our this particular thing, this is, suppose the hard disk is there. This is my hard disk. Okay. Now this hard drive may be formatted with a different file system. Okay. For example, suppose in my machine, suppose, or no, this is reality also, in my machine I have installed Linux as well as Windows. Okay. So let's say for Linux I have reserved this much space, and for Windows I have reserved this much of a space. Okay. So not basically about the Linux and Windows, because if you need to install Windows operating system, your file system must be formatted with FAT32 or NTFS. Okay, there are two file system. Some more is there, but yes, these are very primary file system, FAT36 and NTFS. Okay, so these are the Windows file system. If your file system is formatted with FAT32 or NTFS, then only we can install in the Windows operating system. And if file system is formatted with extension 32, then we can only install the Linux operating system. So this is my hard drive. I have some part I have formatted with this file system, some part I have formatted with this file system. Okay. Now according to the file system, what is happening is that our hard disk is divided in different memory cells. Okay. And these memory cells are basically what? These are the blocks. These are the blocks. Now, depending upon the file system, the size of these blocks are going to be fixed. File of this is going to be fixed. In case of extension 2, the file block size is 4096. Size of one block is 4096 bytes. 4096 bytes. Got idea? So entire this hard disk is divided in different blocks. Okay. Now what is happening? Even if you have to store a small amount, if you are creating a file, and even if you are not storing anything, at least it will occupy some blocks. Now one may ask, sir, why do you require some blocks? Because a file must consist of two things. One is data and the other one is metadata. Okay. So metadata means we have to consider about metadata means what is the size of the file, what is the type of the file, what is the permission given over the file. Okay. The different flags on the file. Okay, you know all ls command you have executed. So these may be considered as a metadata. Okay, so even if you have created a file, not stored anything, it is going to occupy at least one block. So at least one block means it is going to occupy at least 4096 bytes. However, this is not a universal truth, because that depends upon the block size of the hard disk, and block size depends upon the file system. Means your hard disk is formatted with which file system. Unmounted hard disks have no unformatted, you may say unformatted hard disk have no blocks. Okay, so what I mean to say is that your hard disk is divided in different blocks. Okay, and if you need to store something, you have to occupy some block, and in that block you are going to keep the data. Okay, details I will learn in memory management. Okay, so in the file management you just come to know that your secondary memory has been divided in different blocks, and if you are storing some content, you have to occupy some blocks. Okay, so this is what the meaning of the blocks and how blocks are going to be occupied. Okay, any doubt? Then please raise your doubt. Now, block size in case of extension 2, it is 4096. Block size in maybe in FAT32, I don't remember. You can just Google it and you can see that what is the block size in case of FAT32 and NTFS. And it is not like that Linux only consider extension 2, because it has started with file extension 2 extension, then file extension 1, then file extension 2, then file extension 3. Okay, so there are different file system. You can also, if you are interested, you can just Google it, that what are the file system for Linux and what are the file system for NTFS. Okay. Some more information about the file is also necessary, so I will give you some more information. I hope this part is clear. Any doubt? Then please raise your doubt immediately.
Sir,
yes, please.
सर जिसमें सर फाइल सर the file which does not handle occupy any block, sir, उसमें डाल सकते हैं बाद में future में?
First of all, it is not possible to make a file which does not occupy any memory block. But second question, what I understood is that it may be possible that initially file may have occupied 8 blocks, and later on, if I have extended the content, then it may occupy 16 blocks. It depends upon the how much content that you are keeping in the file. Okay, suppose initially I have made very small. Initially I have stored a small content in a file, so that may have occupied 8 memory blocks. Later on I have extended the file. I have stored more content. So in that case, it will extend the memory blocks. If something else, then please raise your question. If I could not understand or if I could not answer.
सर और वो जो अगर सर वो नॉन वैल्यू है ना सर, नॉन वैल्यू सर उसमें सर एक्सटेंड कर सकते हैं ना सर बाद में?
हाँ, yes. If you, I understand your question that where I have stored null characters, that is not going to occupy any space in terms of number of blocks. But yes, later on, suppose I put some content in that memory hole, then definitely I can put some content, and accordingly it will occupy memory blocks as well. That's correct. Okay, good. Yes, that is true. Later on we can utilize, no problem. But yes, if you put some content, it will occupy memory blocks. You can do all those experiments, sure, you can do all experiments and you can see. Okay, so that is why I have given a program. It doesn't mean that you can create a hole only of size 16,394. No, don't be stereotyped. You just change the size of the memory hole, see the effect. Okay, so these are the experiment is in your hand, and you must work upon. Okay, So that is what it is. But yes, memory hole, that how much hole is going to be created, how much blocks is going to be occupied, that completely depends upon the file system. That completely depends upon the file system. If you give size of the hole is 16394, and if you create such hole, then definitely it is having no impact. So that depends upon the size of the block, size of a block, that how much blocks is going to be occupied. So you do different experiment and try to learn. Okay, some more about the file system. We'll be discussing more about process, but just consider that this is a process. Process is what? A program under the execution. Okay, so let's say this is a process, and when it goes under the execution, by default it opens some files. So let's say this is the file table. Okay, so FT represents file table. Now what is there in the file table? As I stated that first thing is the FD flags. FD flag, this is flag. And then we keep file pointer. This is FP, file pointer. I am writing in short, I am writing file pointer. Okay, and what is the index of that? Index is the file handle. File handle means file descriptor. So this is, you already know, 0 is representing a standard in, 1 is a standard out, 2 is a standard error, 3 is by default open. 3 files are by default open by every process. Okay, subsequently a process can open how many files? 19 files. Okay, normally standard is that process can open 19 number of files. Okay, so in that case, file pointer is basically pointing to basically, again, file pointer is basically pointing to another table. Okay, this table is also known as file table, and this table is known as process file table. Okay, and this is the exact file table. Okay, now this file pointer is pointing to this file table. This is having a pointer. Okay, and this pointer points to that, and in this file table what basically we keep is that a status flag. Status flag means file status flag. File status flag means whether the file is open, closed, okay, read, write, all those things are there in the status flag. Okay, and then here is the offset, current offset. Current offset means if you are seeking a file or you are reading a file, then what is the current position. Okay, so let's say this is a file and I am here, so this is my current position. So what is that? Let's say from here to here it is 20, and from here to here it may be 5, so that may be 25. So my position is 25, so offset is 25. Okay, and then we have a vnode pointer. Okay, so vnode or inode, you may be knowing that vnode is basically pointing to inode. Okay, so vnode is basically a virtual sort of thing. Okay, and then vnode pointer is basically pointing to vnode table. Vnode table. Okay, vnode table. What is there in the vnode table? Some vnode information, then inode information. If you remember my previous lecture, what I have told you in the inode, what is stored in the inode? Inode stores everything about the file except file name and data. Okay, so and then we have current file size, current size of the file. Okay, I may give a formal sort of thing. So this is how things are working. A process makes a table. By default, 3 entries are there in the table. Okay, and a file pointer, basically this may be pointing to another file, this may be pointing to another file, and accordingly we can collect the information about the file. So this may be considered as a kernel data structure, for a file. Okay, so how kernel is maintaining information with respect to file. Now I just wanted to tell you that if I open a new file, let's say if I'm opening a new file, open file, this is the kernel data structure maintained by process P1, and process P1 has encountered a statement like open, okay, file1.txt may be in write mode, or read only. Okay, so if this is the case, then and here I have given FD, and if I print the value of FD, what will be the outcome? Anyone please? This is the structure. Current status of process P1 is this, and then it has encountered a statement FD open file1 or read only. And after successful call, what will I am printing the value of FD, then what will be the outcome? What will be the outcome?
Standard input value.
So FD is basically the file descriptor. Okay, open system call returns the file descriptor or a file handle on behalf of the file which is opening. So file 1 is open. So corresponding to file 1, this FD will represent, FD will be descriptor for file 1. Now for a standard input, file descriptor is 0. For a standard output, file descriptor is 1. For a standard error, file descriptor is 2. Now next number is 3. So 3 is going to be allocated to file 1. If you print the value of FD, you will get 3. Let's say again I have written FD1, and then I have written FD1 is equal to open, and then this time I am writing let's say directory.txt. So new file I am opening, or read only, read mode. Okay, now again I am printing the value of FD1. So what will be the value in the FD1? 4. Exactly 4. So this way, if you open a file descriptor, a new file descriptor will be allocated to you. Now let's say while executing the code, what I have done is that I have closed, let's say after that what I have done is that close FD1. Okay, so if you have on FD1 is basically representing 3. Okay, so you have closed FD1, that means 3 is now free. So because you have closed this file which is represented by file handle 1. So now this 3 is free. Now after some time, let's say once again you are writing a statement, you are writing a statement like open, and let's say this time you are opening a imply file. Okay, so let's say e.txt you are opening, and this time also you are opening in read mode only, or read only. Okay, So if you are doing that and here you are putting FD4 or FD3, then what if you print the value of FD3, then what will happen? What will be printed? So kernel will assign a minimum integer number. So what is the current status is that 0 file descriptor is occupied, 1 is occupied, 2 is occupied, but 3 is free, 4 is again occupied. Okay. Now what will happen? It will look into the minimum available integer, and minimum available integer is 3. So 3 is going to be printed. Okay. So if you are closing a file, that means you are closing that file descriptor. You are making the file descriptor free that can be allocated to another one. Got idea? So suppose what has happened, I have 5 pens. Okay, I have given it to you. 5 students already have taken these 5 pens. Okay, now the number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Somebody, let's say, returned the pen number 1. Got idea? Now 6 people will request me, then I will give pen number 1. Let's say somebody has returned me pen number 3. Okay, so in that case, if next request will come, then whichever is available with me, the minimum number I will allot to new request. Okay, I think it is clear. You just do it in your experiment. Whatever things that I am telling you, that you have to do experiment and you have to see that. Okay, what is coming, closing, opening a file. Okay, what is the file descriptor number allocated to you? You have to just see. So that things have already been given in the PPT also. Last PPT I have given 2 programs related to file that you have to execute. Okay, now coming to next concept. Next concept is related to dupe and dupe2 system call. Okay, so let's say there are, as I stated, that there are 2 system calls. So one is dupe and other one is dupe2. Other one is dupe2. Let us discuss first one only. So what is there in dupe is that what it does is, first of all, just see the prototype. So it returns integer type, it returns an integer value, and it takes also as an argument as a integer number. Okay, so what is basically the file descriptor? Now as it is clear from the name, it just create a duplicate. Duplicate of what? A file descriptor. As a result, what will happen? There may be a more than 2 file descriptor for same file. I'll be writing and explaining. Let's say I have opened a file. Open a file. How open? Just give the name of the file. Let's say f1.txt. Okay, so this is the first argument. This is the file I am going to open, and then I am mentioning that O read only. Okay, now this will definitely return a file descriptor. Okay, so let's say it is it returns a file descriptor which is stored in FD. So corresponding to f1.txt, f1.txt is represented by this FD. So now whenever I have to do any operation, read, write, or whatever it is on f1.txt, I will make use of FD. I think it is clear. I have repeatedly taught this you in many classes. in operating system also. Now what I mean to do from dupe is that, let's say if I am writing here dupe system call and then I am writing fd. Now whatever is returned that I am storing in a variable, let's say that is nfd. nfd means new fd, new file descriptor. Okay, now this is what. Now as a result, what has happened here is that this fd is copied in nfd. So fd and new fd both are exact copy of each other. As a result, nfd file descriptor and fd file descriptor, both of these file descriptor are representing the same file. That means for the same file, if I need to create two file descriptor, then I can make use of dupe system call. Now one may ask, sir, why do we need to create duplicate of that? That depends upon your programming environment, your desire. I will give you some cases also, but yes, whenever required, you have to do. Like you may have seen that sometimes you copy a variable and then keep it for safety purpose. Okay. Now in this case, let's say what I have done is that let's take another example for better understanding. You already know. However, in this case, FD will return 3 and new FD will return 4. So 3 and 4 both is returning to, both are representing to, both are representing the file1.txt. Now let's say I am writing a new statement like new FD. Just erase all those things. It should not create any confusion. You already know that 0, 1 and 2 is by default file descriptor for a standard in, a standard out and a standard error. So in that context, let's say I write dupe to, dupe, and then I write 1 and then here I write NFD. What does it mean? What does it mean?
Represents standard output.
Yes, so a standard out is represented by 1, we already know. So NFD also is representing the same. So NFD, a standard out, 1, all are representing the same file, and that is the standard output file number. Now let's say just to see with some more information. Let's say what I do is that I just close 1. Close 1, and thereafter what I do is that I perform a write operation, and then I write 1, and then sorry, not 1, I write here, just let me, I write NFD, and then I write hello. Okay, /n, and then I write 1 2 3 4 5 6 6. So I am writing NFD. I am writing this hello where in the file which is represented by hello. Where it is going to be written? कहाँ पे लिखा जाएगा? So 3 statement I am executing. First is this, second is this, and third is this. 3 statement. Sequentially I am executing. As a result, hello will be written where?
NFD.
So NFD is basically representing your standard output. So hello will be printed on the console. Hello will be printed on the console. So output screen will display hello. Got idea? So this is how we can also do the input output redirection sort of thing. There are multiple things that we can do. We also have another option of dupe or duplicating a file descriptor, which is known as dupe2. Okay, which is known as dupe2. Okay, so if you look into the syntax of dupe2, int that is dupe2, okay, and then what I write here is the int file descriptor, and then we write int fd2. Now in this case, what is happening is that in case of dupe you are doing like that, but in this case what is happening is that FD is going to be copied in FD2. So I am going to create a FD with FD2. So FD and FD copy of each other. Now one may ask, sir, what is the difference? Then that can be done with earlier also. The difference is that here we can specify that FD must be copied in FD2 and a value of FD2 may be given. Like let's say I have given 3. So I am very sure that a duplicate which is going to be created on behalf of FD is 3. Duplicate which is created on behalf of FD is 3, is represented by value 3. In earlier we are not knowing, it may be the minimum available number will be given as a new file descriptor, but here I am specifying what should be the value of my new file descriptor. Now one may say, sir, you have specified that my new file descriptor would be 3, 2, 1 or 0. But it might be a case that new file descriptor 3 you have specified, it is already open by some other call. So your process has already opened this 3 using this 3 file descriptor. So in that case, the dupe2 system call ensures that if it is utilized by other file, then that should be first closed. So FD may be representing some other file, then that file must be closed. FD2 will be free, first make it free, and then it is allocated to this particular file which is represented by FD. That's the difference. And second one is that this is atomic. Atomic means there will be no other processes are permitted to work or take the CPU control until and unless dupe2 completed completed its works. That means it has closed FD2 and then created a new copy. Okay, by the time no other process can interrupt, and you know that interrupt may occur any point of time. So that you may have learned in the DBMS that atomic operation, non-atomic operation, what is the purpose of atomic operation. Okay, so this dupe 2 is atomic. Dupe 2 is atomic. That means first FD2 will be closed, FD2 will be closed, and then this is going to be allocated to this. In between that, no other, no interleaving is permitted. No interleaving is permitted. Interleaving I may have shown you, context switching I may have shown you in the operating system. So no context switching is permitted. So dupe 2 is known as atomic. Now you have to do the experiment based on dupe and dupe 2. You have to just state that, let's say just an example, instead of FD2 I am writing this 0 or 1. Okay, let's say I am writing 1. Just erase 1. Okay, now what is happening here is that 1 is going to be closed and 1 is now representing this. Now what will happen in your program? Just for an example, I will be demonstrating with a program. Let's say I should write a program. Write a program. Let's say I have opened a file. Open. Okay. F1 is a file. Okay. Not giving anything. Oh, read write only, rest of the things known to you, and then this is represented by FD. This is going to be, so file F1 is represented by FD. Now what I have done is that, next statement I have written dupe 2. Okay. In case of dupe 2, what I have done is that first argument is FD and second argument is 1. Okay, and this is what I have done. I have not retrieved anything. This is just I have written. Okay. After that, I call a write operation. Write, and then I write here 1. Write here 1, and then I write hello. Okay, /n, and then write what? Then write what? Let's say 6. Now this is the 3 lines of code that I have written. What will be the outcome of this program? Can anyone explain where this hello will be printed? This text will go in which file? Anybody from your side? Write operation will be performed on which file?
Sir, maybe sir, FD file 1 sir.
FD file मतलब क्या? FD file
file 1 sir.
File F1. Okay, so this is file F1. So this content will go in file F1. This content will go in file F1. Okay, but in another program, if you write only this statement, then hello will go in the standard output. Okay, a standard output. So what this means is that the content which is supposed to go on a standard output, I have redirected in a file F1. So redirected the outcome. So now one is representing file F1 instead of standard output. By default, file number 1 represents the standard output. but due to this dup 2 function, file number 1 is now representing F1. So whatever content that I'll write in file number 1, that will go to the F1, because here 1 is going to be 1 means 1 is going to be closed, 1 is going to be closed, okay, and FD value is going to be copied in 1. Okay, so I have made enough discussion for today's lab. For memory hole, I have already uploaded the PDF file. You just go into that. I have made enough discussion in the previous slide also. Slide is also uploaded. Whatever programs that I have prescribed in the slide also, you just look into that. You do all experiment and upload it. Okay. If any doubt, please ask me. That this is my doubt.
Sir?
Yes.
So like sir, अब वन सर स्पेसिफाई कर दिया, वो आउटपुट स्टैंडर्ड आउटपुट कंसोल पे दिखता है सर, तो कंसोल पे कुछ इफेक्ट दिखेगा सर?
कंसोल पे?
हाँ सर, तो वन तो क्लोज हो गया, मतलब स्टैंडर्ड आउटपुट जो स्टैंडर्ड आउटपुट का नंबर दिया था वो क्लोज हो गया पहले.
हाँ.
कंसोल पे कुछ इफेक्ट दिखेगा सर?
Actually, what is the meaning is the console will remain as it is, but what is happening, as I stated that the file table entry, so this is 0, this is 1, this is 2 and this, so console file तो वैसा ही रहेगा, but this one जो entry है file table का वो change हो जाएगा. So instead earlier this file pointer was representing a standard output file. Standard output भी तो एक file ही है ना, standard output file. By default है ना, by default this file pointer will represent standard output. लेकिन अभी हमने क्या किया, standard output वाला को close कर दिया. This is closed only by my process. Okay, this is closed only by my process. So it has been detached now. This link is over. This link is over. So this link is over. Once this link is over, after that what I did is that this link has been created to another file, and that is the name of the file is F1. Understood? So ये जो standard out था उसकी जगह पे हमने F1 रख दिया A index पे. Okay, so only thing is that only I am changing the file pointer. Earlier file pointer was pointing to a standard output file. Now it is pointing to F1. Understood?
Yes, sir.
बस ठीक है, तुरंत. हेलो हेलो, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is the way how we can do. I think I am clear. If not, then please put up your query.
If we close the F1 file that we like currently shifted, so can there be like a file descriptor without like standard output now?
That may be possible. Yes. Let's say like what you want to say is that close 1. Let's say close 1. So it means that this particular file descriptor is currently not pointing any file. Okay, if I have written close 1, this is what the first statement which is going to be executed by FD2, because 1 need to be closed first. Close करेंगे तो 1 free हो जाएगा, and once 1 is free, now it is allocated to this one.
So it is allocated to the previous one or to?
Yes, if you write if you write dup to FD this statement, then it is allocated to FD1. So that means FD which is representing F1. So let's say in this case FD will be acquiring a value 3 Okay, FD will be definitely acquiring 3. So now 3 will get a value of 1. So 1 is going to be closed. Now 3 is going to be copied in 1. That is what it is happening. So 3, file descriptor 3 and file descriptor 1 both are representing same file, and that file is F1. Okay, do experiment. A hands-on experiment will be a better sort of thing. Once you have understood, you make a program, see that what is happening, play with the things, and then automatically clarity will come to you. You can also read dupe and dupe2 manual, but yes, the way I have taught you may not find you in the same way. Maybe little bit twisting, language twisting will be there, but yes, you will grasp some concept, and then you come for discussion, then it will be fruitful. Okay, so do your experiment. Still, if you remain with your confusion, then come with me. Okay, you can raise your doubt maybe in the next lecture. Today I have so many meetings, so maybe I'll be busy. But yes, by 4 p.m. I will try to catch you. Okay, so by the time you complete all the experiment, once again I'll come and take your attendance, and we'll discuss if any doubt or any problem will be you will be facing during the experiment. Is it okay? Sisam?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, then do all experiment. I am leaving now.
Thank you, sir.